Hello and welcome to our series of crafty hacks for the home.
Now today I'm going to be showing you how to make in just a few simple steps this gorgeous autumnal wreath.
So stay tuned. Got you some flowers.
Oh, you really have! Any idea why you've got me some flowers?
Well, I just want to see your creative genius. What can you create with these autumnal beauties?
Well, they are autumnal beauties. I love the golds, I'm loving the reds, and I'm loving a little bit of mimosa spray here as well.
I love a mimosa.
So I am going to use a big wreath from Matalan today, and I am going to show you guys how to make a really nice autumnal wreath, and I'm going to use some of these flowers to do it. I will pick my selection, I think.
Sounds good.
And yeah, should I get on with it?
Let's do it.
So one of the things I love about a wreath is the fact that it doesn't necessarily have to be for Christmas. So I've been to Matalan and found this amazing, quite large wooden wreath here, and I'm loving the fact that it's heart-shaped, which could be nice for Valentine's, but I'm not going to make it for Valentine's today. But also it's kind of got this rustic wood effect as well. So for me, this screams that it's perfect for a front door wreath for an autumnal setting. So that's what I'm going to focus on today, and the way I'm going to do this is by building up lots of different layers of foliage. So to start off with, the thing I want to start as the base is my ivy leaves. These are all faux leaves because really you want this to last as long as possible, and you want it to kind of be something you can use again and again for many autumns to come. So with this, you want to pick out the kind of ivy leaves that you really like. I've actually gone for two different tones here because I like how they kind of look against each other, one that's got a slightly lighter feel and one that's a bit darker. And the way I'm going to do it, and obviously it's up to you how you lay these on your wreath, but I quite like the fact that we can lay some up the top here and a different colour as it carries on round. So the first thing you actually want to do is take some trusty wire cutters. Scissors honestly will not cut it, and I don't mean that in just a metaphorical sense, they literally won't cut. And you want to kind of choose the sections that you want to use. So for me, I'm breaking this into quarters. So I've got a bit that's got quite a nice amount of leaves here, it's got a nice little bunch here for the bottom, and I'm just going to take my wire cutters and give it a good old cut. Now if it has anything like a little circle to hang the foliage on or anything like that, you obviously want to get rid of that. So that's my bottom half here, which is quite nice. I've got a little bit which I cut earlier, which can go at the top as well. And I've got a few more pieces which I've already prepared as well. And that just kind of works either quite nicely up the top like that and down the bottom, or we can move it around a bit and have it placed like that. Now once you've arranged it, the next thing to do is actually get gluing. So to attach the leaves to your wreath, you're going to need to use a hot glue gun, and I just, from a health and safety point of view, make sure that you're being very careful with this. If you're thinking of making these wreaths with your family, maybe your children, just make sure they're well aware that it's plugged in and that it's going to be super hot. I can already smell it steaming with glue, so that's just kind of how hot it goes. And what you want to do here is pick out the underside of the leaves that you're going to place. And you want to make sure that you get a considerable amount of glue on here, because these leaves are going to be essentially your base. So you want to dollop in a few different places to make sure that it really does hold. And you might find that when you actually stick it down, you're going to need a bit more glue in other bits as well, just to hold it in place. And then it really is as simple as just laying it onto your wreath and holding it down and making sure that it sticks. Now, I'd say hold it down for a good few seconds just to make sure it's really holding fast. And then what we can do is we can build up the rest of the wreath and your base with lots of different leaves. So as you can see, it looks like there's a lot of leaves on here. Now, as you've probably seen, it's been a really quick start in terms of me adding all of the glue to this. Now, what you want to do is not be afraid of using a bit more glue than you have to, because it really does need to be stuck down. But one of the great benefits of using a twig wreath is that if you have any bits of leaves or foliage that aren't really behaving, is that you can tuck it in to really help it hold it down. So I think, you know, looking back on this, I've had to use a bit more glue than I thought I needed to do, but that doesn't matter. Stick down the leaves if you feel you need to, really hold it in place on the branches as well, because at the end of the day, you all want it to stick in place. So we've got our gorgeous greens, and a lovely wreath wouldn't be complete without a pop of colour, and autumn is the perfect time to really get those golds and those wonderful pinks, in fact. So that's exactly what I've got here. This is, if I remember correctly, it is called a lamb's ear spray burgundy, and it comes from Dunelm, and I think this is a really stunning collection of pink leaves. I love how it's going to pop against the ivy. So you're going to get something like this from the shops, and it's going to be obviously way too long. So the first thing you want to do is you want to cut off tiny sections of it. So maybe that's the top of the leaves here, and just the bits that you want to put maybe in a gap that needs a bit more filling. But actually, I quite like really tiny bits as well. So get your trusty wire cutters once again, and get cutting the sections that you really want. So here we go. I'm going to start from the top and cut this off. There we go. So much easier with wire cutters, it's unbelievable. I have tried this with scissors before, and it's just been a nightmare, so really worth the investment. And before you glue anything down, what you want to do is start placing them. And you kind of want to do that in odd numbers around here, just to kind of make it feel a bit more natural. It might look a bit too, I suppose, staged if it's all in just set places. But these will look nice in lots of different parts of your wreath. And again, it's all about layering. So this is your second section. And once you've popped them all in and you've worked out where you want to put it, all you have to do again is make sure that you glue it in place. So I'm going to crack on with this, and let's see what it looks like once it's been glued. So when everything's glued down, you've got 2 layers on your wreath, and what I would suggest you do is then lift it up and maybe hold it up against a wall and look at it and see which areas might be a bit sparse or which areas might be a bit too full. Now, I've already added an extra couple of leaves down this side just because I thought it was looking a little bit sad. It didn't have as much foliage on it as this side did. So it's a bit of trial and error as you go along. But over here, I've noticed not only is there a few strings of glue which I need to get rid of, but also I think this leaf is a little bit too overbearing. So I'm just gonna go and get my trusty wire cutters and give that a little bit of a trim. And again, you might find on this section that again, you might want to chop and change a few things around. It's completely up to you. This is supposed to look like wild foliage, so it's not all supposed to be incredibly neat and tidy, which is what I quite love about it. Now, the final touches are an even bigger pop of colour and also a few statement bits of foliage as well. So what I've picked out here is a chestnut spray in burgundy, and look at these little balls here are going to be really lovely little statement pieces. But also for that real bright autumnal bit of colour, I've got this mimosa spray as well, and I might go and have my very own mimosa after this as well. So I'm going to start with these, because I think you can just layer them really nicely. I mean, you might want to choose to do a huge spray of them and put them in somewhere, depends on what yours looks like, but I'm actually going to go and cut a few smaller bits and start thinking about placing them. Now again, you follow the same tactic as you did with your pink leaves as to strategically placing them around. You can tuck them in just to check where they go, if they look quite nice, and then make sure that you've placed it carefully before you start gluing, and you know that you're happy with those bits where they are. So I'm just going to fill the gaps here just to get that little bit of colour all the way around, and just keep on going. So I'm going to do one side just to show you, and then I'll get gluing them down. So that's a little bit of yellow there. Now in terms of the chestnut spray as well, might want to get a little bit of a longer section of this just so you really can tuck it in. And this, for me, I think would just bounce off perfectly against the yellow in here. So just so I can see what it looks like, I'm just popping it in there. And all of the colours kind of start coming together. So you can see the greens at the bottom. You can see the pinks just layering up just to give you that little blush colour. And then we're starting to really get those statement key colours and design here as well. So just place these all around. You don't need to be too frantic with them. These are the ones that are going to really draw your eye in. So in this case, less is more. And then it'll be time to reveal the finished product to Emily.
Well, I say, that is pretty damn impressive.
It's a lot of foliage, a lot of faux foliage, because obviously I wanted to keep it for many autumns to come.
Totally, that will just keep giving every single year.
Yeah, lovely. I think we can put this on well, I can put it inside, but
yeah.
Actually, I think putting it on my door. We don't celebrate autumn enough here in the UK, but I know any of our lovely audience members that are watching from the States love a bit of fall.
Oh, yeah. Put it on the front door, make those neighbours jealous, I say.
Oh, no, really nice. I love the pop of colours. I loved how ivy can be used in so many different ways as well, and it works really well. And yes, it is big.
Yes, and it won't die, which is amazing. So if you're not green fingered, this is the wreath for you.
So we hope you enjoyed this little wreath making class that we've given you today, and we hope you've had fun making it at home as well.
So remember, if you like what you see today, remember to give us a like. If you've got any comments at all, questions or otherwise, just pop them in the comment section below. And do not forget to subscribe. We need your help with these things, please, guys.
But for now, thanks so much for watching.
Bye.